Ever thought about trapping your friends in a room? You know, in a fun way, with puzzles that you designed? Well, today we're going to break down exactly how you can build an absolutely unforgettable DIY escape room right in your own home. Let's dive in.
So get this. This quote is from a guy who spent 2 whole months building this wild, interactive, Cthulhu-themed puzzle box just to hide a Christmas gift inside. He calls it very expensive and very time-consuming wrapping paper. Yeah, that might just be the understatement of the century.
And I mean, this was not just some box with a padlock. It had custom electronics, a countdown timer ticking towards madness, QR codes that led to hidden websites, secret messages you could only see with a UV light. It even had its own secret radio broadcast. This is definitely the high end of what you can do, and it just goes to show how incredibly creative you can get with this stuff.
But here's the thing. All that cool tech, it's not the most important part. What really makes an escape room stick with you isn't the gadgets, it's the story. So for our first section, let's talk about how to craft a narrative that really pulls your players into another world.
Game designer Michael Boris just hits the nail on the head with this. Your goal isn't just to make hard puzzles. It's to make your players feel like every object in that room, every clue, has a history, a reason for being there. That's the magic trick. That's what turns a bunch of puzzles into a real, immersive world.
Okay, and this is a super important distinction to make, the difference between a theme and a narrative. A theme is just the window dressing, you know, a pirate ship. It looks cool. But the narrative, that's the story, it's the why. A pirate ship is a theme. You're a crew of mutineers who have to find the treasure map and escape before you're forced to walk the plank. Now that is a narrative. It gives your players a mission.
So before you even think about a single lock or a hidden key, you need to be able to answer these questions. Why are they here in the first place? What's the worst that can happen if they don't get out? And, oh yeah, why is there a ticking clock? The answers to these questions are going to be the foundation for your whole experience. They make every puzzle matter.
So once you've got your story figured out, it is time to actually build the game itself. Let's move on to Section 2 and talk about the blueprint, how you design the flow of your puzzles.
And here it is. This is the #1 most important rule you need to know. You have to work backward. Always. Start with the final goal. Let's say it's a 3-digit code that opens the door. Great. Now you can start building all the different layers of puzzles that will eventually lead your players to discover those 3 numbers.
Now, the simplest way to structure this is a linear design. It's pretty straightforward. You solve puzzle A, and that gives you the key or the clue for puzzle B, which leads to puzzle C, and so on. It's like following a trail of breadcrumbs. This is perfect for beginners or smaller groups because it keeps everyone focused on the same task at the same time.
But if you have a larger group, a linear design can get a little crowded. That's where a nonlinear design comes in. This is where you have multiple puzzle paths that can all be solved at the same time. One team can be working on a cipher over here, while another is trying to figure out a physical puzzle over there. It keeps everybody engaged, and that final moment when all the pieces come together feels like a massive team victory.
Okay, so we've got our story and we have our structure. Now comes the really fun part, filling that structure with awesome, clever puzzles. So for Section 3, let's open up the toolkit.
Ciphers are an absolute classic for a reason. They're a great way to hide a message in plain sight. You can go with something simple, like A1Z26, where A is 1, B is 2, and so on, or get a bit more visual with a pigpen cipher. A book code is fantastic because it can turn any old book on the shelf into a critical clue, and you can have fun with Morse code, maybe a blinking light in the corner of the room.
And check out this absolutely brilliant idea. The creator of that Cthulhu box, he hid parts of a code on 4 separate plastic sheets, and then hid those sheets inside a deck of cards. The only way to get the code was to find all 4 sheets and physically layer them on top of each other. How cool is that? It's so tactile and clever.
And please, don't forget the pure joy of a really good hiding place. I'm not talking about just taping a key under the table. Think outside the box. Carve a code into a bar of soap. Write a message on a fan blade so it drops down when someone turns it on. You could even hide a tiny scroll inside a hollowed-out egg. The more surprising the hiding spot, the bigger the aha moment.
So, you've built your masterpiece. Your clues are hidden, your puzzles are ready. Now it's showtime. In our 4th section, let's cover what it takes to be a really great game master. Okay, I cannot say this loudly enough. You absolutely, positively must play test your game before you run it for real. This is not optional.
It is the only way you will ever find out that a puzzle is secretly impossible, or a clue is hidden way too well, or that one of your props just breaks. Grab some friends who are willing to be your guinea pigs and just watch them play.
Look, every team gets stuck at some point. It's just going to happen. So you need a plan for giving hints. And you've got options. You could set a hard limit, like you only get 3 hints. You could charge them for hints by taking a few minutes off their clock. Or you could even make them find hint tokens in the room to earn them. It's totally up to you, and it's a great way to adjust the game's difficulty.
And here's a pro tip born from painful personal experience. Before the game starts, make a list for yourself of where every single clue, every key, and every combination is. It sounds silly, but I promise you, when the clock is ticking and your friends are running around, it is shockingly easy for you to forget where you hid that one tiny thing. You will thank yourself later, trust me.
All right, we have covered the story, the blueprint, the puzzles, and how to host. Now for our final section, let's get you ready to actually start building, because the best way to learn any of this is just to do it.
And I want to leave you with this piece of advice from the guy who built that incredible Cthulhu box. He said to pick a project you are genuinely passionate about, because that passion is what's going to get you through the frustrating parts, and trust me, there will be frustrating parts. But pushing through is how you learn, and it's how you end up with something you can be incredibly proud of.
So that's it. You've got the roadmap. You have the inspiration. The only question left is, well, the one right there. You're in a room. The door is locked. What amazing story are you gonna tell?